Support for Sportspage is provided by the University Store. The University Store is the official headquarters for Mules and Jennies emblem clothing, gifts, and UCM memorabilia. Books, office supplies, art supplies, and more are available at the University Store, located on the lower level of the Elliott Union on the UCM campus in Warrensburg. And promotional support for Sportspage is provided by 1450 KOKO and 98.5 The Bar. 1450 KOKO and 98.5 The Bar, the radio home of University of Central Missouri Athletics.
Coming up on this week's edition of the University of Central Missouri Sports Page, volleyball and football are our big topics. The season is winding down for both sports, but we're not quite there yet. So we'll talk some big games the teams had this past week. Head coaches Jim Svoboda and Flip Piontek will join us in the KMOS studio for updates on their teams. We'll also take a closer look at two stellar student athletes in our weekly Sports Page spotlights. We've got all of that and more on this week's edition of the University of Central Missouri Sports Page. Welcome to Sports Page here on KMOS-TV. I'm Alex Greenlee. We're going to start things off with football. Week 8 of the 2014 season had UCM on the road to Tahlequah, Oklahoma for Northeastern State's homecoming game. The Mules boasted a solid 5-2 record going into the matchup and have been playing a solid defense as of late. Northeastern State came into the game with a record of 0-7 and was looking to get its first win of the season. And we've got the highlights from Tahlequah, and let's take a look at them. And joining us now in studio is head coach Jim Svoboda. And coach, let's get rolling here. Out of the gate, the Mules were dominating your defense. Stopped Northeastern State quickly. Your next possession, the team comes back. The running game, Levance Taylor first touchdown, Mules up 7-0. What's it like to score so quickly?
Well, it's always the goal, really. You know, that's what you plan for in terms of your practice preparation, and you never know how the game's going to unfold, but when you can jump out to an early lead, I think it's a big advantage, and we actually got up 14-0 right away, and you know, I think it sort of sets the table, sets the pace for the rest of the game. The downside is sometimes when you score easily like we did, I mean seemingly easy, that you know, the players can get kind of lured into thinking it's going to be that way the whole game.
Well, and you guys did well, as you already know, and Kyle Eccles a big catch in the second drive, which is going to come up there. There you see Levance Taylor in the second drive, and then it sets up that 1-yard run from Hawk that you're going to see here in a second. You know, he gets it done with his arm and on the ground.
Yeah, he does a good job of operating the run game. There's a lot of decision-making that people aren't aware with it within our run game, and he does a good job of executing that as well.
And you see there Levance Taylor and Hawk. And, you know, and Hawk has played well this season. And there's Kyle Eccles, what we just talked about. You know, he's a redshirt freshman. What does that mean for this team to have somebody so young that, I mean, just look at him there.
Well, we have a lot of outstanding young skill kids, and overall, we have a lot of underclassmen that have been playing well for us. There you see Hayden on that keeper right there. Kind of confused the refs. We got a couple guys that didn't know where the ball was, but it ended up being a touchdown for us.
Well, and you see this pressure there, and just breaking through that line, and your defensive line has played well in this game as they did there, and again, just taking out the quarterback.
That's where it starts. You see 3 defensive linemen right there in the backfield and harassing their quarterback and upsetting the timing of everything they do.
Now, and there's Levance and making some great moves there.
He actually caught that ball out of the backfield, and he's a dual threat. He's got great hands as a receiver out of the backfield as well. They're trying to trick play, and again, 3, 4, 5 defensive players kind of swarm him.
Yeah, and collapsing on the ball, and there's Ray Harris, and we'll get to him here later in the show, but he gets in there for the touchdown.
A lot of great blocking right there, and Ray did a good job of following his blocks and all the way to the end zone, really.
Yeah, and there he is again, and you guys really ran away with this game in the third quarter. We'll get to that here in a second, but Harris played well. Levance played well.
Got a lot of kids that got some reps, and on the road you only have so many players that can play because you have 60 on the travel roster. So it was a good game to get those guys some playing experience. That's a big play. I think that. Oh, okay. I thought that was Montez's interception there, but that was a big play to keep them out of the end zone.
Right, and there you see Andrew Baker just.
We had over 20
there.
Explosive plays, which is a play of over 12 yards, and that was a big play right there by Andrew, and Hayden early in the third quarter, and then we kind of broke the thing loose with some more explosive plays.
That's really how you spread this team out on offense, and then running in there for the score and spreading them out. And you guys have done that really all season with all the teams that you've played. You get that running game going, and there's Harris again. You get that running game going, and then you turn around, and you've got a lot of receivers to throw to.
Well, yeah, we have excellent balance. We're over 200 yards a game in both passing and rushing. And, you know, when you have that kind of balance, I just really think it makes you a challenge to defend. And we're spreading the ball around. A lot of kids get involved, and you know, that makes it better for all your players in terms of they know they can contribute to this offense, and they're excited about it.
And then you can see there, 56-14, the win. After the two-game homestand, the travel really doesn't affect you guys. And you take down the Northeastern State Levance Taylor, 175 yards on 19 carries, and Ray Harris, 169 yards on 9 carries with 1 score. And the Mules are now 6-2 in the MIAA and on the season. How exciting is it to get a 5-game winning streak in a conference that's this tough?
Well, you know, we didn't set out to say we're going to win 5 games in a row or X games in a row, and you know, really, the kids have really taken it to their understanding as far as how their preparation affects what they do on Saturday, and they've really focused on that. I mean, it's not only focus on one game at a time, it's focusing on one practice at a time, making sure that you're getting yourself absolutely prepared for that game on Saturday, and that's been the great thing about these guys. When they get to Friday, they're really confident because they know they've practiced well, and they know that you know, they've put in the time, and then Saturday's really the fun day. The grind is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You kind of you know, cover a few things on Friday, have a walkthrough, and you know, get their legs back, and then Saturday it's fun day. You just turn it loose and play ball, and if you prepared the right way, all the good stuff will come out, and you can have fun.
Well, and that you guys did. Levance Taylor, a monster game here. We'll get to Ray Harris here in a second, but 1,177 rushing yards on the season. First in the MIAA, and the second place guy I think's got a little bit over 800. How is it knowing that you guys can establish your running game and get to all these great receivers that you guys have to get open?
Well, it's a luxury, you know, it really is, and a lot of credit goes to Coach McClung and that offensive line. They're doing a great job in terms of you know, giving our running backs we got the type of backs, if you can get them to the second level, then you get a lot of those explosive plays, and we saw so many of those the last few weeks, and of course the offensive line, they don't have any stats, you know, their stats are tied into other people's stats, and so they take a lot of pride in having the conference leading rusher, and the fact that we're doing both things well, passing and rushing the ball.
Well, this offensive line has played well this season. What has Coach McClung instilled in his players so far?
Well, we've just, you know, sold them on the idea that, you know, we want to be legitimate in terms of running the football, and that takes a certain, really it's an attitude up front. It's a mentality that you're going to run the football, and it's going to be a legitimate part of what you do. And, you know, in the past, that hasn't necessarily been true, and that's just based on, you know, just what we feel like we need to do to score points, and we've always felt like being balanced is the key. But you know, instead of putting a square peg in a round hole and forcing something, we just try to do what we feel like our players are capable of doing. And right now, we've got some big, strong guys up front. We're more physical running the ball, which is what is required to do that.
Lots of receivers getting in on the action in this game. Your running game set it up, as we've already talked about, 649 yards total offense, which is the 4th highest in school history. That's a big number, Coach.
Well, it's a good number, and it's exciting to do it on the road, and you know, do it in a situation where, you know, the players could have took this team lightly based on their record, and really they really wanted it to make it their best game to date. I think they did that, and they did it in an exciting fashion and a dominating fashion.
We don't talk about Ray Harris very much, but in this game, 169 yards on the ground. How did he help out this team? I mean, obviously he helps out in many ways, but on the ground he really helped spread it out between Levance and him.
Well, Ray's had to be patient. You know, Ray's got a lot of talent. He's an outstanding all-around football player. I don't know that we have anybody on the team that works as hard as he does at it, and it means a lot to him. And you know, he just happens to be playing behind maybe the best player in the league right now. And so, you know, when you're a competitor, You know, that's difficult for you because you know you're not going to get as many opportunities typically if the other guy's playing well. But he's kept it together, and you simply won't see a guy break out and have 169 yards rushing if he's feeling sorry for himself or, you know, pouting or pointing fingers, and so we're proud of him for that.
And you talk about getting pressure on the quarterback, as we saw in the highlight, and your defense combined for 4 total sacks. What does this pressure do to help your secondary? Obviously 1 interception in this game, but does it really help them a lot?
Well, it all starts up front, and I've always said that, you know, being an offensive guy my whole career, the toughest thing for an offense in terms of their passing game is if the defense has 4 guys that can get to the quarterback and they don't have to bring extra guys in terms of blitzing and take somebody else out of coverage. So playing good sound, you know, secondary technique and skills back there combined with you know, a ferocious pass rush is the best way to defend the pass.
This game was played very well, and let's shift gears to Lindenwood Lions. They're heading to town Saturday. What are you expecting from this team coming in with a 1-7 record?
Well, they got a lot of skill kids. I mean, they got a lot of talented kids on both sides of the ball, and sometimes you know, they've been struggling in terms of their record, but they've certainly played well in stretches. Our players understand that. You can watch them on film, and you know it's not a bad football team. It's just sometimes good football teams don't have the best record. We know that they've you know, made Central sort of you know, a key game for them year in and year out, going back to when we first played them in 2011. So we know it's a big deal for them. Other than that, I just, you know, they're a bunch of kids that are, you know, they got a proud tradition in that program, and they're hungry for a win, just like everybody that you go up against. But you know, this would be a game I'm sure that would you know, turn their season around, and so I think our players are expecting a great effort out of them, and there's no question that's what we'll get.
And they're 1-7 on the season. Their first win coming, their first game of the season. This game is going to be here at home, obviously, Walton Stadium, Kennedy Field. Playing at home obviously has its advantages in the MIAA, especially here coming up on Saturday. What are the keys for taking down this team? I mean, they like to throw the ball, but what else do you do?
Well, I mean, it starts there. I mean, that's what they feel like is their strength, although you can't completely ignore their run game because they got a running back that can hit creases and turn short gains into long gains. So you know, we still have to be really sound on defense, but it's gonna start with getting some pressure on their quarterback. I think they really do a good job. They really get the passing game. I mean, that's you know, they kind of remind me of us, you know, 2 or 3 years ago when we were really chucking it around a lot, and you know, they feel like that's what they need to do to score points, and so you know, they understand the passing game, and they're not afraid to take a lot of shots down the field, and they got some skill kids that can get behind you if you're not careful. So, you know, changing up the picture for the quarterback and making them uncomfortable in the pocket are going to be keys in terms of slowing their offense down. Defensively, they just, you know, they've really have showed a philosophy of keeping things in front of them. You know, they have in the past been sort of a blitzing team, but this year it seems like they're a bit more conservative relative to that, but they're really sound. You know, you can watch them on film, their stuff makes sense, and they got some guys that really play hard, starting with their front 4.
And those front 4 obviously play well. And let's talk a little bit about back-to-back games against teams with records that don't look very good on paper, but coaches will tell you that's deceiving. I think anybody will tell you that's a little bit deceiving. Will these 2 weeks be the same kind of message to your team that you're going to tell them, hey, go out there and get this game plan done, or do you switch it up a little bit?
What we've talked about is playing our best game to date, and again, like I said earlier in the program, it really starts with, you know, how you prepare, what your practices are like. You know, you come out Tuesday and you can probably get a pretty good barometer of how the kids feel about the game on Saturday and their opponent. And what I saw on Tuesday was everybody had their lunch pail and their hard hat, and they were ready to practice, and we ended up having an outstanding practice. And so, you know, those are good signals for me as a coach.
Coach, good luck, and thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Thanks, Alex.
And good luck this weekend against Northeastern State. And up next, we've got the Sportspage Spotlight on defensive back Zach Leinbaugh. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the UCM Sports Page. Senior football player Zach Leinbaugh has played in every game for the Mules this season. The defensive back from Omaha, Nebraska has helped this defense play well with 25 tackles. Let's meet senior Zach Leinbaugh.
I kind of had a crazy journey coming here. I actually originally started at UNO, University of Nebraska, Omaha. The football program got shut down there the first semester I was there. So the whole recruiting process kind of started over again for me. Coach Boda and my dad kind of had a past relationship through high school, you know, friends. My grandpa coached them. My dad contacted Coach Boda, took a visit here, and decided to choose Red. Up to this point, our season's been going real well. You know, we didn't start as the way we wanted to. You know, lost to Mo West in a kind of a heartbreaker, 10-9. Came back and beat Emporia. Kind of got back on track. You know, and then we went and played Northwest, and big game. You know, at Northwest. Stumbled there, but you know we're back on pace. 5 wins in a row, and a big one here at home against Leinbaugh. Going down to Oklahoma, I just wanted to go down there with the right mindset, and it was go down there to work. And we had the mindset, we had to go in there, play our brand of football, you know, fast and physical, and that's what we did. You know, going into the game, as soon as kickoff started, we knew that it was our game to lose, and we just played our game. You know, defense did what we were supposed to do, got the offense the ball, offense capitalized and scored. And that's all we can really do, just do our job, play our brand of football, and that's it. You know, with our record right now, 6-2, we just got to take it, you know, game by game. You know, obviously our goal is the playoffs, you know, not looking too far ahead, but obviously a national championship, that's every team's goal in Division II. You know, we got 3 games left, the big home game against Lindenwood, Pitt State on the road, that's going to be a huge game, and then Fort Hays, you know, we just got to take it one game at a time, and if we do our job, I think we'll have a shot at playoffs. My role on this team would probably, you know, just being a leader. You know, I'm a senior on the field. I've been playing for 4 years. I've played in MIAA for 4 years, obviously. So I just know what my job is. My job is to go out there, compete, make plays, and just help my team win any way I can. We have a strict schedule. We have different periods, you know, whether it be special teams periods, individual periods, offense, defense, scouts. It's really a structured practice, and I think that helps a lot from the coach's aspect to the player's aspect. We know what we're going to be going through. We know how to get our minds right day in and day out, and that's the mindset we come to practice with. It's a grind, you know, and we're here. My relationship with my coaches are great. You know, everything they've done for me to get here, you know, UNO ending, and then, you know, just having them recruit me here, it was a blessing. Coach Boda, like I said before, him and my dad go way back, so it's really nice to have someone who, not really a father figure to me, but he's been around my dad, and he holds me to a higher level, I feel like. And then Coach Westfall, he's been great since I've been here. I can't say a bad thing about the man. He's helped me every step of the way. Great guy, great energy. And then since I've been here, I've had 3 different actual position coaches. Josh Christian Young, Coach CY, Coach Sams, and now Coach Johnson. And I can't say, you know, anything about them either. I love them to death, every single one of them that I've had here. A great relationship with all of them. My family has just been the strongest support system I've had. From when I was 3 years old, you know, playing sports, I haven't missed a game. I can't remember a game that they've missed. So I would have to say my parents and my grandparents have been the strongest support system I've had. Words of wisdom for incoming freshmen, I would say You know, push yourself, work your tails off, and don't take anything for granted. You know, your time here goes by fast. It really does. I've been here for 4 years. I can't believe I'm almost done.
Leinbaugh has had a solid season so far. Against Central Oklahoma, he had an interception as well as 3 tackles, one of those being a sack. Great job, Zach, and good luck on the rest of your senior season. Up next, Jason Ketz has all the results from this past week. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to Sports Page. I'm Jason Ketz. Here's a look back on this past week in UCM athletics. Coming off of its 4-2 win over Northeastern State last Sunday, the Jennies soccer team just keeps on rolling. Their next opponent was the Missouri Western Griffins in St. Joe. Julie Ireland scored her 6th goal of the season in the 17th minute. Following a goal from the Griffins, freshman Taylor Thompson scores her first of 2 goals in the second half. Her first was in the 36th minute, and her second goal was just 6 minutes later. Freshman keeper Anna Dilk saved 7 of 8 shots faced to improve to 14-0 this season. The Mules football team went on the road to Tahlequah, Oklahoma in search of its 5th straight win. UCM brought back the victory to Warrensburg 56-14 over the Northeastern State Riverhawks. The Mules improved to 6-2 on the year. Both the men's and women's cross-country teams competed this past Saturday in the St. Louis Fall Cross Country Classic, hosted by the St. Louis College of Pharmacy. The Mules started off with strong as all racers finished in the top 15 and 4 in the top 10. Adam Treadway finished 3rd overall. Just behind him were Ian Frazier and Michael Godlick, who finished 5th and 6th. The Jennies had a strong performance of their own, finishing 3rd as a team. Megan Glayman finished 2nd overall, putting up her best time of the season at 18 minutes 37 seconds. Jennies soccer returned to the pitch to face Northwest Missouri State in Maryville last Sunday. Central took a 2-0 lead to halftime. Abby Rhodes scored her 3rd goal of the season, and Julie Ireland added her 7th. In the 4th minute of the second half, the Jennies found the back of the net again, this time from Megan Woolley, en route to their 3-1 win. With the win, the Jennies have clinched at least a share of the regular season championship, their 5th in a row. Both the men's and women's golf teams went on a business trip to Rio Grande, Puerto Rico this past week. The Mules shot a 2-round score of 591 to take home 2nd place overall. Senior Sam Migdal is crowned the individual champion with a 3-under par 141. Both Teddy Jones and Alex Springer also finished inside the top 10. The women's team finished the tournament at 680, which was good enough for 5th place. Kelly Welker was the top placer for Central, finishing in 22nd place. Now we are coming to volleyball as we have Coach Piontek here in studio. Coach, talking about this Emporia State game, first of all, I know it was a tough loss for you guys to take at home. Set 1, you guys lose 25-21. Set 2, 25-22. Talk about what Emporia State was able to do offensively, maybe in those first 2 sets, to be able to come out with.
I wish I could tell you that it was something that Emporia State did, but quite frankly, what the result of those 2 first sets was what we did to ourselves. And you know, for a team that our margin of error is small, and so we depend on a lot of things to happen correctly for us to have success, and that includes making a low number of errors in the game. And so in both of those first 2 sets, we made more errors than we should have. We played quite poorly in those 2 games. You know, all aspects of our game. Our ball control was not as good as it normally was, which puts our setter in a little difficult position, which then puts the hitters in difficult positions. And the things that we did with the ball in those situations, we were really giving Emporia State points. And a team like Emporia State, which doesn't make many errors, they're a very solid team. You really don't want to let them have free points, and that's what we did in those first 2 sets. So we paid the price for that.
And coming back now, the first 2 you lose. You come back with a sense of urgency, though. You win the next 2 sets to force a Game 5. Talk about just how resilient your team was able to come back after being down 2-0.
You know, the resiliency, but it's the determination. And this team, we hadn't lost at home in 2 years. And so, you know, that helps them understand that, you know, trying to take care of your home court and trying to maintain that advantage while you've been here. So for them, the nice thing about volleyball, you know, unlike other sports that, you know, you have a halftime, you don't carry the points over from the first half. You get to start again. And so volleyball, each set is an individual unit, and so you put them together to make the best out of 5. And so for us, even being down 2-0, the match isn't over, so the players are very comfortable. We've been in situations before. So all of these players have been down 2-0 and won matches before. These players have been up 2-0 and lost matches before. So, volleyball is a unique sport, and for us, it was more of a mental change than any kind of physical change in terms of allowing our team, our players, just to play more relaxed and play more free, putting those 2 games behind us. Quite frankly, trying to get rid of those games is that's the hardest part about sports. You want to play the last play again all over, and you can't do that. So letting go of the first 2 sets and then just playing fresh. And so that allowed us to come back. I thought we played better in set 3. I thought we played terrific in set 4. And then I thought set 5 was a great volleyball game. I mean, when you get to 15-13, it's a coin toss. You turn 1 point around, and the match is different. So it was really a good volleyball match.
And then the next day, you guys had to bounce back. You play Washburn, number 8 ranked team coming in to the multi. Earlier in the year, you had beat Nebraska Kearney at home, a team that was top ranked as well. You come in and you beat the Ichabods in 3 straight sets. Just talk about how your team was able to bounce back from that Emporia loss and come back and beat Washburn.
I don't know if it's much as a bounce back, but it was a continuation of what happened in sets 3 and 4 the night before. And again, set 5 wasn't a bad set. In set 5, we had plenty of kills, and the problem was Emporia had lots of kills too and a couple less errors than us, and really that game could have gone either way. So it really was more of a continuation of what happened Friday night rather than completely starting anew. So for us, just trying to maintain that level of performance that we'd accomplished on Friday night after those first 2 sets was the key. If you can maintain that level of effort when you're on the court, you force the other team to make decisions that sometimes they don't want to make. You put them in situations that bad things can happen. And for Washburn, I thought our block did a very good job. It forced their hitters to take some shots that I didn't think they wanted to take. And a lot of the balls at the end of the match were just ducking to get out of the way of, because they were struggling offensively because of the things that we were doing to try to make them take those bad shots. And so it worked. It was more of a continuation, and I'm very happy with the players in terms of their mental commitment to what we needed to do on that day.
And talking about just your ability as a team to be able to come out and kind of take it to Washburn, just kind of going over some of the stats here. First set, 11 points off errors. You guys scored off Washburn, 12 points in the second set, 10 points in the third. Being able to keep them out of position like that and having as much attack with your outside hitters, just talk about putting the pressure on Washburn and how you were able to just basically keep them off balance the entire night.
Well, in terms of the amount of errors that Washburn made, if you look back at sets 1 and 2 against Emporia, that's what we were doing against Emporia in sets 1 and 2. Our team, actually most of the teams in the conference, the good teams, Emporia, Washburn, Kearney, we're going to average 14 kills a game. Okay, so you take 14 kills, that's 14 points. And then you give me the 10 points from Washburn's errors, or the 11 or the 12 points, set's over. And so that's really a simple way to figure out what's happening in the game. And so, against Emporia, both in sets 1 and 2, we had more kills than Emporia, but we made more errors than them, which gave them more points, which ended up putting the game in their favor. So just by reducing our errors, putting a little pressure on Washburn defensively to kind of make them take some swings that they really weren't comfortable with, and then taking advantage of the fact that once a team's like that, the night before, what happened on Friday night, we were able to turn around the poor play from sets 1 and 2, and in the huddle at the intermission on Saturday, the emphasis was on making sure that we didn't allow them to do what we did the night before and take this to a 5th set. So, the things that we'd been doing were obviously working, and until Washburn made a change in terms of how they approached the game, then we were going to do the exact same thing for another set to make sure that we didn't allow them. A team like Washburn, if you give them any kind of leeway at all in terms of sensing that they can get back in the match, they have plenty of offense, great defense, a good coach, a good team. It would have been just like the night before. We'd end up in the 5th game, and it would have been one of those 15, 13, 18, 16 games, and who knows what's going to win. So we were very happy with the persistence and the effort that the team put out there on Saturday.
25-22, 25-22, 25-21. Washburn gets defeated against your Central Missouri Jennies. Now, rolling on Tuesday night, you play Northwest Missouri State in Maryville. Talk about how your team was able to just come out with that victory in 3 straight sets.
There's a lot of different factors involved. Volleyball, all sports are the same, in terms of your previous history shouldn't make much difference at places like Maryville. And we've been to Maryville the last couple of years and really, really struggled when we've been up there in terms of being able to consistently put forth the effort that was required to win the match. And as much as you don't want to say Emporia State on Friday night helped us on Saturday and Tuesday, Emporia State gave us a sense of urgency that we had not had going into Northwest Missouri before. And so Northwest Missouri really suffered from the result of what happened to us on Friday night. We had no lapses in terms of our effort. We really, really did a terrific job from the very beginning of the match, putting pressure on them and then not allowing them to feel any sense of comfort at all in the match. I really felt like they were a little off balance the whole night. I do give the coach some credit. I've known Amy for a long time. One of her better players was late for practice, and he did not play her the whole match. And that takes really gumption on her part in terms of trying to teach those players and actually teaching the whole team, not just the player that was late, teaching the team the important things about being on a team and the participation and their commitment that level that was required. And that was, it had to be a difficult decision for her, but I told her after the match, I commended her for that in terms of the team. I thought did a good job with the additional player, but just the loss of the offense from the player that she sat, I thought it really put them off balance a little bit, and it really gave us an advantage, and I think our kids ran with that. We had a little streak in the beginning of set 2 where we made a couple of unforced errors that almost let them think they could get back in, but then we were able to quickly turn that around, and I was really comfortable in the match the whole night. We got a bunch of players in at the end of set 3 that really wouldn't have been on the court to give the starters some time off because the trip coming up this weekend is a really long, it'll be it's a really unusual trip because we play on Saturday, Sunday rather than on Friday, Saturday. So just trying to get a little bit of a rest for the players coming back from Northwest, I thought was important for us.
And talking about just some of those players, everybody highlights Carly Soika as your top outside hitter, but talk about what the play of Haley Thompson has done for you guys this season.
We have a core group of players, and Haley is one of them in terms of I just talked about Amy and the coach at Northwest and what she's trying to teach her players. The core group of players that we have, that Haley is a part of that in terms of her level of buy-in to what we're asking the players to do, in terms of the academic commitment that we have from her, the effort that's required of her every single day in practice. She's part of our leadership team because she's earned it. She's only a sophomore, but it's really her 3rd year here, and as part of our leadership team, that's an indication of the amount of respect both the coaches and the players have for her in terms of what she wants the program to be. And when you have players that want something good to happen for the team, then I think you've accomplished what you want to do kind of as a coach and as a teacher in terms of making them own what's happening in the program. And Haley is one of those kids that has she's a really terrific volleyball player.
And coming up, you have a couple games on the road. First, you have to go to Nebraska Kearney.
Yeah.
Now, you beat them at home in 3 sets to 1. Just talk about going to Kearney, and I know it's a hostile environment there. Just talk about what this matchup will be.
It's actually not a hostile environment. The fans there are very knowledgeable about volleyball. They're very, very supportive of their team. I wouldn't call it a hostile environment. We've been to places this year that are hostile. It's a very volleyball-friendly environment. However, just like I talked about going to Northwest, our history at Nebraska Kearney is not good. 2 years ago, we played them the last week of the season in the regular season. We played them the first in the conference finals the next weekend of the season and just didn't perform well at all in that environment. The players have been there now. They know what to understand. And I really do think that the way the nature of this trip sets up this weekend, Kearney, we were supposed to play Fort Hays on Friday night and then travel to Kearney on Saturday and then go home. What happened because Fort Hays hosts the Kansas State Volleyball Championships this weekend. We could not play on Friday night, so we moved the match to Sunday afternoon. which is not what I would like to do. I'd rather travel. I'd rather give the players off on Sunday. So we have a Saturday match at Kearney as the first match of the season, so the first match of the weekend. So I think that helps us. It's a 7 o'clock match at night after they have a home football game. So it'll be an evening match. It'll be a single setup there that'll be very, very interesting. I think it'll give a real nice opening effect to the weekend and the travel. And that way we get to concentrate just on them, because quite frankly, until we play the match on Saturday against Kearney, I haven't even looked at I have, but the players haven't looked at Fort Hays, and we won't talk about Fort Hays much until after the match on Friday. So that's just kind of how we approach it. The weekend trip will be a long day Saturday, which is a little unusual, and then we turn around and play Sunday right away at 3 o'clock at Hays. That gets us back in time to have a relatively normal night back in town to get ready for the following week of play. So we're winding down, only 6 matches left, so it'll be a great weekend for us.
Only 6 matches left. And just talk real quickly about just kind of the sense of urgency your team has going into the final 6 matches of the regular season and then getting ready for postseason play. You know, the postseason play is the urgency for the players comes from the fact that they understand that if they want to compete in the postseason, these next 6 matches are very important. The way the conference is set up this year, there is no postseason tournament. There's a sports festival in Louisville this fall, which is a week earlier than we would normally have our championships. So by losing a week of the season, the conference decided not to have a postseason tournament. So the winner of the regular season is going to be the automatic qualifier from our conference, which is really the only way that you can guarantee you will get into the postseason tournament. The regional rankings came out yesterday. I felt badly about our conference, and I don't know that the region gave the conference the amount of respect I think that the conference deserves. And so really the conference tournament now becomes a much more important ingredient in terms of getting yourself ready to play in the postseason, if that's going to be an option. The players understand that, and I'm confident that we're going to get into the postseason. All right, Coach, thanks for joining us, and good luck this week. Coming up after the break, we spotlight middle blocker Haley Thompson. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back to Sports Page. As a redshirt freshman last season, UCM volleyball player Haley Thompson was named second team All-MIAA and was an honorable mention AVCA All-Region. Thompson finished last season with the highest hitting percentage at .337. Let's take a closer look at the Nixa, Missouri native.
When I was in 3rd grade, I got interested in volleyball, mostly because I was taller than everyone in my class, and I had tried playing basketball and was horrible, and so my coach recommended volleyball, so I started playing at the rec department in Nixa, and that's what got it all started. I wanted to come to Central Missouri because it was close to home. I live in Nixa, which is about 2.5 hours away, so I wanted to be within distance from my parents to come see. And I had gone on other visits, and when I came here, I just fell in love. Like, I got in the car and just told my mom, this is where I want to go. I love the coaches and the environment, and I could just really see myself being here for the next 4 years. We have a really good relationship, especially Flip and I. Like, he knows that he can give me a hard time about things, and that I respect that and take that well from him. You know, I would rather him be honest with me and critique me about things, and that helps me get better as a player, and he's very respectful about it in ways that some coaches wouldn't be. So I like the balance that he kind of finds between, you know, being honest with me but also being not too hard on me at the same time. And then Kate, she's just, you know, she's very upfront with you about what she wants you to do, and I really respect that from her, because that's what's helped me, I think, improve over the last couple of years, definitely. I think what I love most about being here is just the support that all the athletes have for each other. You know, we're constantly tweeting at each other, or, you know, all sorts of stuff on social media, supporting one another, coming to each other's games, and I really like that we all have that camaraderie with each other, and I think that makes it so much more fun that, you know, they will come out and support us, and then we can go and support them too. We all have a really good relationship. You know, we're all kind of the same age since we don't have any seniors, and a lot of us came in together, so we try to make it as much of a family as possible, and that's something we focus on. You know, off the court, we try to hang out together as much as possible. I live with 3 of my teammates, so, you know, we're all just really good friends, and, you know, we are around each other more than just on the court, which makes it kind of a family. I think my role, since we don't have any seniors, we've all kind of had to step up and take more responsibility, and I try to do that on the front row as much as possible. You know, we've had some new players come in and step up and take spots that we had lost on the front row, so I just try to help people as much as possible with knowing kind of what Flip's expectations are, because I was there last year and the year before, you know, making mistakes and him coaching me through what he wants next time, so I kind of try to give that advice to people so they, you know, don't have to struggle through as much, just trying to help them know kind of what the expectations are as a front row player. On an average day of practice, it usually starts for me in the training room. I go in and, you know, get whatever treatment done I need, and then we go out and we always have the same warm-up. We're really consistent about, you know, doing our agilities, and then we usually start off with a game of Jennies. That's kind of our favorite warm-up game, so that kind of gets us a little bit competitive, but it also helps us work on ball control. And then whatever drills Flip wants to do, we usually try to practice based on the next game that we have going on. So we'll scout the team, and then he kind of lets us know what to expect from them, and then we'll scrimmage based on how we would play against them so that we can change things we need to and get ready for the next game. I have gotten more superstitious over the years. On game days, we come in and we all eat together as a team, and then go get treatment if you need to, and then we just hang out in the locker room. We usually put on music, kind of dance around and stuff. I'm very superstitious about the way I put on my shoes and my knee pads and my ankle braces, so I have a strict order that I do all that in, and then I've been drinking Red Bulls before the game, so I always have my Red Bull right before we go out, before our first warm-up, and then we just get ready for the game. In my downtime, I've been pretty busy with schoolwork. I have Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays off during the day usually, so I try to just kind of hang out at home. Like, I really like that time to rest. Usually my roommates are there, and so we'll all kind of hang out, but other than that, you know, there's not a whole lot that I do outside of volleyball and school during the season. My major is child and family development. I had originally been a special education major, and I changed because I still wanted to help children, but I didn't necessarily want to be in the school environment, so I'm still hoping maybe to get into counseling or something else that can work with children. I think my mom is definitely my biggest supporter. She's had a hard time getting to some of my games because my brother plays football in high school, so he has games during the week, but she comes up on all of our home weekends if she can, and she's just the one that's constantly like encouraging me, and she traveled with me all through high school for volleyball and really encouraged me to pursue collegiate athletics, so she's definitely been that person that's kind of motivated me and pushed me through this.
So far this season, in 82 sets played, Thompson has 251 kills and a hitting percentage of .328. Coming up after the break, Alex Greenlee returns to give you the complete rundown of all upcoming games for the Mules and Jennies. You're watching the Central Missouri Sports Page here on KMOS-TV, Missouri PBS.
Welcome back to Sports Page here on KMOS-TV, Missouri PBS. We've got a lot going on here in UCM Athletics, and we want to make sure you make it to as many games as possible. Starting with UCM soccer on Friday, October 31st, the Jennies are at home to take on the Lindenwood Lions. The game starts at 7 p.m.
Mules football hosts Lindenwood this Saturday. Kickoff is set for 2:07 p.m. The Mules are currently 6-2 and looking for their 6th straight win.
Jennies volleyball heads to Kearney, Nebraska to face Nebraska Kearney on Saturday, November 1st at 7 p.m. The Jennies are currently 15-0-1 on the season. Good luck, Jennies.
The Jennies soccer team is at home against Missouri Western on Sunday, November 2nd at 1 p.m. The Jennies are still atop the MIAA standings at a perfect 12-0. With a win or a Southwest Baptist loss, the Jennies will win the conference outright championship.
And last but not least, it's Jennies volleyball for their second game of the week. The Jennies head to Hays, Kansas to take on Fort Hays State Sunday, November 2nd at 3 p.m. Good luck, Jennies. And Jason, we've got several topics to talk about, but first let's go on football. They blew out Northeastern State last week and are looking for their 6th straight win of the season. They got their 5th straight win of the season for the first time since 2010, so that's an important stat to note.
Well, and absolutely, when you look at this game, they went down there and they went to work. When you talk about they were able to get the ball moving offensively as far as on a rushing standpoint. Levance Taylor had a touchdown. Ray Harris had a touchdown. Evan Campbell had 2 touchdowns on the ground in the 4th quarter. Able to just make things happen offensively and keep them in check defensively.
Well, and to get Garrett in there and Evan in there, to get the younger guys in there to get some experience, I think really helped them. And I think, again, switching gears a little bit, looking forward to Lindenwood. Lindenwood has a tendency to throw the ball, so I think if our front defensive line could put pressure on them, I think we're going to be in good shape on that game.
Absolutely, absolutely. And talking next about this soccer team, still undefeated. When you talk about teams that are able to overcome adversity, the soccer team has to be one. They still have 2 or 3 players from their starting lineup from last year that are still out, but they are able to make things happen on the offensive end. Just talking about Anna Dilks. Anna Dilks here, only given up 2 goals in 2 games. She's only given up 2 goals. Twice in the season so far, being able to just, if you can't win, if you don't score, you can't win.
Well, in goals, as far as that's concerned, UCM has 42 goals on the season, and their opponents, they just got 10. So, and they're second in the Central Region rankings. They're playing well, and I look for them to continue to play well, Jason.
Another conference championship, 5th in a row, 6 out of the last 7 seasons. Talking about this wrestling team now, they're coming up 12th ranked in the NCAA Division II coaches poll. Coming out, had 1 national champion from last year. Frank Cagnina had 149. That was the first national championship this school has seen since 2006. Guy coming in from Lehigh University, was a national qualifier, Division I. When you talk about this team, they have 3 guys that have been to the national tournament. Ty Lathan, Frank Cagnina, and then also Eric Mateo, who was not able to qualify last season. But they were able to, they're still improving, able to get Coach Ensign has done a really good job with that team. And, I look to have big years from a guy like Hunter Neighbors at 133, who's from just down the road in Jeff City. There's a lot of upside on this wrestling team.
Well, and Cagnina is ranked in the preseason poll number 1 at 149 pounds. And then Ty, number 6, that is 165-pound weight class. Both those guys had great seasons last year, and as you mentioned, Cagnina. And they were picked 5th in the MIAA preseason poll as well. They had a 6-2 record, a 2-4 record in conference in their duels. So hopefully looking for more from them. So, and that's it for your Central Missouri Sports Report for the week. Make sure to tune in next week. Until then, for our entire crew here at KMOS-TV, I'm Alex Greenlee.
And I'm Jason Ketz saying thanks for watching the UCM Sports Page here on KMOS-TV, Missouri PBS.
Support for Sportspage is provided by Union Station, Crossroads to Technology, a one-stop shopping source for technology needs, campus-compatible computers, software for Mac and PCs, and much more. Located on campus on the lower floor of the Elliott Union in Warrensburg. Union Station, Crossroads to Technology. And promotional support for Sportspage is provided by 1450 KOKO and 98.5 The Bar. 1450 KOKO and 98.5 The Bar, the radio home of University of Central Missouri Athletics.